Hey YouTube, it's Erica and it is April 11th, 2012 and I'm back for an update. So in my last video I talked about how I submitted my letter from the doctor to my surgeon and they were going to submit that to insurance. So that happened and a lot has transpired since then. It's been a busy couple weeks. So first thing was that I received an email from my HR department at work, and it stated that they were changing insurance carriers from Anthem Blue Cross to Aetna effective May 1st. So this is our open enrollment period right now. So that kind of already kind of made me think, well, this clock is ticking and it has to happen in April. It needs to be pre-authorized in April, and I also have to have the surgery in April, or else I'm starting from scratch. And two, I wanted to find out, okay, if I have to start from scratch, what's involved? Is it going to be easier, harder, not possible at all? So HR provided a phone number for Aetna, so I called that phone number, and they were like, well, we can't even find your company on file yet. It's a little too early. And so I talked to HR again, and they gave me the number of the broker they worked with. And so I spoke to the broker. They looked up what our coverage is for my company, and they came back and said, I'm really sorry, but they won't cover bariatric surgery, like, at all. So that really kind of set a fire under me, and I sent an email to my surgeon like, emergency, this is really rushed now. And what's interesting is that I kind of resigned myself to not having the surgery in April at all. I wanted all the paperwork in, and I wanted to know that I was good to go from an authorization perspective, but I wasn't going to schedule it until I had some client work completed. The client themselves isn't really challenging, the work's challenging, the workload is challenging, and I've been working my butt off, and I'm like, it's not going to go over well if I have to take time off, plus I don't really want to come away from the project and then go back and all that. So I was like, well, hopefully I can get it pre-approved and then take the time off maybe when the project's done in a month or two. Well, that's not going to work since I'm not going to be under the same carrier in a couple weeks. So, so the next phase was kind of trying to push my surgeon's office to try to push insurance. And so they were very accommodating. They were like, we're going to do our best. And so apparently the letter from my doctor, which recorded a BMI of just over 40, was passable at a nurse review level, so it didn't need to go to a physician for review, which is good. The problem, so the second little caveat here, is that the hospital where the surgeon performs the surgery was terminated their contract with Anthem effective March 6th, and that hospital is Good Samaritan in San Jose, California. So I knew that ahead of time. I knew that sometime in March we received an email from HR, and I immediately called my surgeon's office, and they're like, oh, we didn't know that. But for some reason, they submitted it to my insurance anyway. And they know things that I don't know, so I'm sure there was a reason for that. But I was like, well, I notified you guys as soon as I knew, and they probably knew even before I knew. Anyways, so I was like, oh, I didn't even realize you guys submitted it for this hospital, which you know is out of contract. So I worked with the surgeon's office, and long story short, it was like, all right, they're negotiating a contract, and that didn't make me very optimistic because contracts can take a long time and it's insurance. So I'm like, this isn't going to happen this month. Like, it's just the odds are too small, I guess, too slim. Slim. Like me soon. Anyways, so I was not optimistic. Found out it's happening, and then the next set of news was, okay, we can see that they're in contract now again, but we can't confirm that they're a CME, or a Center of Medical Excellence, which is required for the surgery. So I was just getting this kind of stop and go. And all the while the clock of April is ticking. So I just found out today that the nurse that's assigned to my case was able to confirm that they are a CME, which means that I have a pre-authorization number. And I just found out a couple hours ago that my date of surgery is the this coming Tuesday, April 17th. So today is Wednesday, April 11th. I have less than a week until this surgery, and I'm freaking out. I'm not prepared. I don't know where I'm going to stay. I don't know who's going to take care of me. My dog is sneezing. She's saying she'll take care of me, I guess. And I'm very excited. But what's interesting is my very first reaction when I heard, you know, you've been approved, it's just a matter of the hospital and that we're this close to getting confirmation on the hospital. What's interesting is that my first reaction was a little fear. And it wasn't fear of the actual surgery, although I'm a little fearful of that. It was of the inability to fail. I think knowing that failure is not an option and that there's going to be a biologic change in me in how much food my body is able to take in, and that by design I'm going to be unable to consume as much food as I can now, and that even if I overeat a bit, it can't, at least for the short term, I won't be able to fail, and that is a little scary. And I guess I wasn't completely expecting that, although I know that that's part of kind of my makeup and some of my psychological profile on this is, I think when you go through these many years of kind of trying and working on something and then inevitably kind of going back to behaviors, it's like this affirmation of failure makes it seem as though it's impossible to get past it. And no matter what happens, I have to get through that. So that was an interesting thing to go through. Like, holy shit, I'm committed to the world no longer seeing me like this. Like, they're really going to be able to see who I see when I look in the mirror and when I see myself in my mind's eye. The world is going to be able to see that. And that's scary, to not have a physical shell to separate me. So that's kind of big and kind of heavy, and I'll have to work out all that, and I'm sure I'll diary that through YouTube. But moving on to some more news. So now, okay, now I have to get I'm in a rush to get all the pre-op stuff done, which is kind of 4 items. One is a pap smear, a general healthcare visit with my primary physician, which I did God, it feels like ages ago, but just a few weeks ago, a month ago, whatever. Right after, like I think the week after I met with the surgeon. So that's all done. I just need the results sent to my surgeon. 2 is blood work. And then 3 is an EKG. 4th is an upper GI x-ray. So blood work, once I knew on Monday that it was very strong likelihood that the surgery was going to happen, I fasted that night, went in to get my blood work done on Tuesday. The problem is I stayed up working until like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, got up at 6 something, and was also dehydrated, so I felt like garbage. I felt like I needed to lay in bed for 10 hours, and my body doesn't like to give up blood anyway, so I went into a little bit of a shock. They didn't get anything out of me. So the thing I learned from that is that I'm going to have to make sure that I'm rested and hydrated for surgery. I think once I knew about surgery, I started kind of negotiating or bargaining, if you will, in my mind about what I can do to kind of compensate for work. So I'm like, well, hell, I'll just work till 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I've had weeks like that before where every day I work like that, and I'm like, I'm just going to do crazy rock star stuff and get it done, and I'm still going to work hard, but I learned I cannot pull those kind of hours and not rest. I mean, if I work till 2, I have to sleep till 10. And I work from home, so I mean, I could do that if I don't have morning meetings. But anyways, I have to get rest. I have to be hydrated. I have to feel good going into surgery on Tuesday. So I'm glad, I guess, I learned that lesson yesterday. So drank water, slept 8 hours last night, went in for the blood draw this morning, and they had no problem. So that should be in the surgeon's hands or office tomorrow or Friday at latest. So the 3rd was an EKG, and so that's where they just kind of tape a bunch of little thingies, wires, to your body to kind of get a heart rate and stuff and see if you're normal. And so I tried to get the blood work done on Tuesday, couldn't, and they were able to do the EKG immediately after. So that's, pardon me, that's done. Hopefully that'll be in the surgeon's hands today, tomorrow. And then the upper GI tract x-ray, they said it was going to be a walk-in. In fact, my primary physician said it's a walk-in. Front desk said it was a walk-in. I walked in and they said, oh, our office doesn't do that. You have to make an appointment, which that was today. That kind of freaked me out. So luckily I made an appointment and I go in tomorrow morning at 8:45. So it kind of kills my morning, and that kind of ties into trying to work like a maniac between now and surgery. But I mean, I have to do it. So anyway, I'm just thankful that I was able to make an appointment now, and not even Monday would have been probably too late. So once that's done and all that is in my surgeon's hands, and provided all the results are acceptable, which they should be, I'm good to go. So I just need a time for my surgery, and I apparently will find that out on Friday. But she said it's probably going to be about 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. So yeah, so super excited. Have no idea where I'm going to even be right after. My boyfriend's mom is super sweet and apparently volunteered to take care of me. She's a retired nurse, and they live very close to Good Samaritan. So I really don't want to impose. My mom can't take the time off. She's a teacher, and it's kind of end of year, and this is her last year before retirement, so she kind of has to be there. But I'm sure, anyways, somebody will take care of me, I guess. Or, I mean, maybe I'll just be by myself. I don't care, as long as I get through it. But anyways, okay, so lab work, lessons learned. I wanted to go over a few things that I've learned through this process, which hopefully will help somebody else in the future. Number one, if you're serious about this and you know that you absolutely want to do it and it's just a matter of kind of getting all the approvals, I would make sure you know your insurance very well, know what they require, know where you are in comparison to those requirements, and work on meeting them and kind of getting all your ducks in a row before you even meet with the surgeon. In retrospect, had I had the BMI that I needed and I was only like 5-6 pounds away, I probably would have been like just a checkbox, because Anthem's, I think, pretty easy. I just didn't have that BMI, and so they went to kind of the next level and started assessing comorbidities, and mine weren't really, well, first they weren't documented. Oh, I guess I need an update on this. I was going to go in for a sleep test. I ended up finding out that the amount that they charge for the sleep test is kind of high, and I might have had a lot of out-of-pocket expense, and so I wasn't sure what that would exactly be. I don't know if it's like $1,000, $500, $200. I had no idea. So I'm like, I don't even know if this is going to do me any good, because quite honestly, I don't really have a lot of faith that it's going to come back as severe sleep apnea. So if I don't get that result, I mean, I guess I know where I am, but it wasn't worth it to me. So I said, well, I don't think it's going to help me. I don't think I'm going to have the result soon enough, so I canceled the test. I guess I'll know if I get better sleep in a few months, so whatever. So first lesson is know what the requirements are, try to meet them if you can. If you're just under the BMI requirement, I'd just gain a few pounds and then go see the surgeon. Shoot, if you have all your records showing that weight, especially if you don't want to stay at that weight, you just need it recorded so it can go to insurance and be an easy in. I would just get up to that weight, record it, and then start, like I joined Weight Watchers actually, and I weighed myself this morning and yesterday evening. Yesterday evening I was 222. This morning I was about 218. Just, evening versus morning. So it's awesome. I mean, to consider by the end of May I should be at least in the hundreds. We're in Wonderland. Is crazy that it can happen like that. And anyways, so that's the first lesson. No insurance. And second lesson is don't rely on anybody except for yourself. I think my surgeon's office was good. They were helpful. I know they cared. Insurance was relatively helpful. But I got a lot of information that was kind of wrong. Like, I'd call up insurance and they'd say, oh yeah, your case is terminated and canceled. I'm like, wait. I got rejected and then I had another letter submitted and supposedly we're just waiting for the hospital. And they're like, oh, hold on a second. And then all of a sudden the story would change. And in fact, when I was trying to find out whether Good Samaritan is CME, I called twice, once yesterday, one today. And yesterday they said, okay, they're not a CME. And I told them the story, and they said, oh wait, let me actually call